Hi everyone, it's Patty. Welcome back to my channel. For today's card share, we are using from the company Poppy the Flower Pots and Stems die cuts and the Nordic flower heads. So these die sets are a little different. I couldn't separate them, they were all together, which was fine. And so the flowers you can cut out separately, just a flower shape, or you can actually cut out the detail of the flowers with these dies, which was pretty cool. And we are using the premium textured cardstock called Snowcap. It's from Coordinations, and it worked really well for this project. I'm trying to use up what I have, and I think I have had that cardstock for at least 5 years, so getting rid of it. So to get started, so the inks I used are Whipped Honey, Lilac, It's a Boy, Mint to Be, Sage, and It's a Girl. And so for each of these inks, I created a blended panel, and I did half of the cardstock by ink blending like I'm doing now, and then the other half of the cardstock I just did direct to paper. I picked up the pad and smeared it across the paper. And this way I had highs and lows for each flower that I cut out, and then on the solid portion, that's what I cut out the flower pots with and some of the stems. So I'm going to struggle to pick up the pad and then just smear it across the paper. So again, I did that for all of the cardstock colors to get what I needed for this. And then I also went and grabbed some foil paper, and I used the Recollections foil and cut out all the flowers in the flower pots in the colors of that foil, which were a lilac and similar colors, a light blue, gold, and a sage green. So you can see all my die cuts there. There's actually quite a bit more sitting in the dish you can see in the bottom left. And I really like how they turned out. There's some depth and some light in there. So here I am gluing all of the pieces together. So I mixed foil and ink blended flowers together to create a different look. They turned out really great. So when you're looking at them, they've got the shine of the foil, so there's bling coming through, but then the softness of the colors of the ink blended flowers. So a lot of variety, but all of it, all the colors matched. So it was a really nice look, very pretty. So it was worth the time to do all the little putsy stuff, which I love to do. That's what relaxes me. And I made some larger florals and I made some smaller florals. And this way you really didn't have to add much to the cards because the flowers did it all. So here I am using a stencil from Gina K, and I believe it's called Rose Swirl. And then I'm using some crisp dye inks from Altenew, and I believe this was called Tide Pool, and I used Picket Fence Studio Pouncer. And now I'm using Gonzai Tambi metallic inks, and I'm using the Gem Pink. And if you haven't tried doing this with a spatula, try it, because you get more control. Like normally when I do my dots, I have splashes 2 feet away. I find them on my iPad. So with this, it probably only spread 2 inches, so you could really control where the paint dots landed. And here I'm just finishing up gluing everything together. And I did find with the foil I needed to put a weight on it to make sure it glued completely. So now I'm going to finally finish assembling the card. So I decided to put it on a black background, and I'm doing a black sentiment on this because there are so many other colors there to get it to stand out. And I did do 3 cutouts of the happy birthday. I was going to do it in pink, but it didn't really stand out. But I'm using the pink as one of the layers too for adhering. So just when you use your Xyron, you really have to burnish onto the letters or whatever it is you're putting the sticker on. Otherwise you get that sticky stuff everywhere. So I do have to rub it off. Even when I've made my sentiment, I do have to rub some of it off. Otherwise it'll just stick to the cards, into the envelope when I mail the card. So the nice thing about the sticker maker is I'm starting with the top layer first then, and adding it onto the white layer, And then when I'm done with that, I kind of had the happy and the birthday too close together, so I had to move the happy. But it's really easy to add your layers when they're on the backing like that. It makes it so easy to get everything aligned. So then I'll do the happy, and then I'll take the pink copy and add, or maybe I do the white. I do have a white sitting there. I think I added onto the white. So I have 2 layers of white and 1 layer of black, and that really helped it to stand out on the card. And as you can see, it doesn't really take a lot of time when you have it adhered to a backing like that. It's so much easier than doing it the way I was doing it there, free range or however you want to call it. But this, the sentiment is a Spellbinders. It comes with the die cutting machine that I have, the hand crank one, and I've never used it, and I thought now's a good time to give it a shot. And I do like that font. It's not too frilly, even though it's a floral card, but I could definitely use that font on a masculine card as well. It's just a straightforward sentiment. So once I get all of the layers together, I get my Barely Arts glue out again and glue that down. No, I don't. I'm lying to you. I had run it through the Xyron machine again, I believe. Yeah. And then stick it down, and it worked beautifully. Yep, so I decided I like the placement, still rubbing the glue off. That's the problem. But then running it through the machine makes it so much easier for that. So you can see the foil shining, which is really great, and it looks so much better in person because you get the shine on the camera, but you don't really see the color. But when you see the color in person, it really comes together well. So while I'm getting this adhered, you can see all the different pieces still left over. So this is the first card, and then I make 2 more cards. I'm only showing the one other card that I make though, because the third card is very similar to this one. So this one didn't take, I'm going to try to get my sentiment straight. One thing about me, straight lines and Patty do not get along. They are hard for me. I really need tools for that. And I know We Are Memory Keepers has this little laser thing that I'm thinking about getting, because then you can line it up on the laser line, which would help immensely for me. So finally got the sentiment taken care of. And then I will go ahead and glue the card panel onto the black, the accent layer. And of course my glue is stuck. And then I will glue the entire card panel then onto a white card base. You know, Gina K's right, a little black really gets everything, makes everything pop. It is such a nice little layer to have. Yeah, so that's the Spellbinders. Letting that dry for a second, reaching over and grabbing a white card base. And I think I did a side fold on this one. I'm not even sure anymore. Yeah. So decided that looks great. We will get that glued down. Oh, I must not have aligned it perfectly. So trimming a little off. The struggles are real within card making. I think we're our own worst critics. We see beauty in everything else that everybody else does, and then we just see the flaws in what we make. But we persevere. So that will finish up this card. So the next card, I'll tell you, it took a little time because it took me, a good half hour to figure out how I wanted to arrange the flowers. Because what I originally wanted to do was just not working. It just looked too busy. And I was trying to do them in a cluster so that no white cardstock showed through, but it was just too busy. So by spreading them out like this, and then adding the leaves in as well to fill in some of the white spaces, I really like how this turned out. And I like this shot because you can see some of the colors of the foil. It's just not shine. You can see the color, so you can see how well the ink blended and foil flower parts work together. So getting everything glued down, and that took a little bit of time as well, but totally worth it. I think this is one of the most favorite cards I've made in quite a few weeks, actually. Just because I love die cuts. That's probably one of my favorite things. So letting the glue sit a minute, and then I'm going to trim down all off the edge. And I know they say save all the bits. I threw all those bits away. I wasn't doing it. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a lavender things, but again, I just went with the black. It just pops so much against the colors. And it does allow the colors to really shine through, kind of accents them. So I did that. And again, I glued 3 of the die cuts together, and then I'm gluing this. I cut a shadow out of vellum just to diffuse the colors of the card a little bit for the sentiment. And then we'll glue that onto the card. Oh, doing the interior. Look at me go. I'm even finishing off the interior of the card. So, for some reason I lost the video on this, but these are the 3 cards I made with these. I really like that one. So the blue background was a background I had sitting around, and then this is the first card I showed you. So thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.